And welcome back to the Watchman here at TBN's Jerusalem studio. Not a bad view, gentlemen. Ambassador USIsrael Chris Mitchell, author of ISIS, Iran, and Israel, the blockbuster new book. Well, guys, we're talking about the Iran threat. We're talking about ISIS and terror and the shared threats that America and Israel are facing. The great Satan and the little Satan, their words, not ours, obviously. And Yoram, I think that's one of the reasons it's great that we have you today. You were a diplomat, an ambassador based in the United States for many years. You're still on Capitol Hill on a regular basis, meeting with members of Congress. This America-Israel relationship, in the view of many people under the Obama administration, has been sort of frayed at the highest levels. But before the interview, we were talking about how support for Israel remains rock solid on Capitol Hill. Why is that so important?
Well, according to the American political system, U.S.-Israel relations do not hinge on the identity of the American president, but most importantly, on the state of mind of the American people and their own representatives on Capitol Hill. The power of Congress is actually co-equal and co-determining to the American president or the executive. And when it comes to the current mood in America, with very, very deep polarization, there are very few issues of common denominator. The support of Israel is one of the issues which unites most Americans on the Hill and throughout America. And the foundations of the American support for Israel is not Israel's national security achievements, is not Israel being the startup nation. The foundation goes back to the Mayflower and the Arabella 400 years ago, Judeo-Christian values, which guided the early pilgrims, which guided the founding fathers, and which have helped shaping the American Constitution and the American state of mind. That's the secret of the very special covenant between the U.S. and Israel.
You're such a historian of that U.S.-Israel relationship, and the relationship between the Jewish people and the United States, as you said, goes back hundreds of years. Chris, as an American evangelical, originally from the United States, you've been here in Jerusalem for 16 years. Christians, obviously, American evangelicals, are a major source of support for Israel. Do you get a sense, you're in these circles all the time, obviously, do you get a sense that that support is growing? I know there's been some concern, actually, that maybe a pro-Palestinian or replacement theology narrative has been creeping in to American Christian communities. What's your sense?
Well, my sense is that actually it's growing, but there is that undercurrent, I guess, of pro-Palestinian kind of sentiment. It's taken different forms right now, but I think when we came here in 2000, we saw the Intifada began, and tourism fell dramatically. The one group of people that kept coming were evangelical Christians, and I think Israelis saw that, and I think, to me, that was sort of one of the beginnings of this relationship that's exemplified by Kufi and other groups. You have Christians standing with Yad Vashem, Christians with Magen David Adom. I think this movement is growing and growing. And I would say, too, and one of the things I wrote about in the book is the fact that ISIS, Iran, and others have been persecuting Christians. The one country in the Middle East that really is a refuge for Christians is here in Israel.
Great
and
point.
Father Nadaf, a friend of ours, I think we all know.
He's been on the show.
He has been on the show, and he's been saying that as well. And I think that people need to know, American Christians need to know, that their brothers and sisters are being persecuted like never before. It really is a genocide against minorities here in the Middle East, like Christians and Yazidis. They need to pray for them and stand with them. That's part of the reason I wrote the book. But they need to realize that Israel is a refuge for Christians and Christianity.
That's right. You know, folks, again, the enemies of the Jewish people are the enemies of Christians as well. We saw the Jewish people chased out of Arab and Muslim lands during the 1930s, 40s, 50s. Now history is repeating itself, and Christians are being chased out of lands like Iraq, Syria, where they've been for thousands and thousands of years. Just another reason to stand with Israel, stand with the Jewish people. Well, some final thoughts after the break with Ambassador USIsrael Chris Mitchell. Stick around.
Centuries-old churches and monasteries burnt to the ground, Christian villages ransacked, women and children enslaved, and believers in Jesus led to their deaths. ISIS has declared an all-out war on Christians. Believers in the Middle East outside of Israel are suffering horrible persecution. Christians United for Israel will not remain silent as Islamic extremists carry out a genocide against our brothers and sisters in Christ. On Capitol Hill, CUFI is working hard to ensure America's allies receive the aid they need to defeat ISIS. CUFI is leading a Raise Your Voice campaign to bring the issue front and center for Christians across America. Visit our website, cufi.org, to find out how you can stand with CUFI as we stand up for the persecuted church. If not us, who? And if not now, when?
And welcome back to the Watchman from TBN's Jerusalem studio with Christians United for Israel. We're wrapping up here with Ambassador Yoram Ettinger, Chris Mitchell. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Fascinating conversation. You made some excellent points that an American audience in particular needs to know. Okay, final thoughts here. We're short on time. Some final observations, Yoram.
Well, my final thought is that America should learn from the grave mistakes committed by Europeans when it comes to confronting Islamic terrorism, not by repeating European mistakes, but by refraining from European mistakes. And first and foremost is to realize leopards do not change spots. They do change tactics, but not spots.
Chris, any final thoughts, any encouraging thoughts that you have as we go forward?
People need to know that we are at war with radical Islam, whether it's ISIS or Iran, and we need to know our enemy. Sometimes that's not very stated with our leaders right now, but we need to know our enemy. And the other thought I would have is for Christians in America, stand with their brothers and sisters here in the Middle East. They're under persecution. Their lives have been changed, perhaps forever. Pray for them, support them, do what you can to help them.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect, Chris. And we hit so many major points today, gentlemen. Look, terrorism is only a tactic. It is driven by an ideology. It's radical Islamic ideology. Israel's the first line of defense for Western civilization. The U.S.-Israel relationship remains strong. Israel is a vital strategic asset for the United States. I think we hit it all, but we'll do it again soon, right here at TBN's Jerusalem studio. That's it for this week. Here from Christians United for Israel, the Watchman. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace.